I will not waste your time. I am not here to dress up reality with empty promises or instant miracles. What you are about to hear over the next 60 minutes is not the product of academic theory or philosophical speculation. This account was born in the silence of the offices of men who actually won, not men who merely spoke well. I have closely observed the life patterns of 500 of the greatest leaders and fortune builders this world has ever seen. And the first thing you must understand is this: the difference between them and the struggling, failing masses does not lie in luck. It does not lie in the privilege of birth. It lies in obedience. They obeyed certain mental laws. With the same rigor an engineer obeys the laws of gravity. If you disobey gravity, you fall. If you disobey the laws of wealth, you remain in obscurity. No matter how hard you strive, I ask that you listen with an intention unlike anything you have ever done before. Do not listen to be entertained. Do not listen to agree or disagree. Listen to perceive. Among the 7 principles I will reveal today, one will vibrate distinctly for you. It will strike your ears like a personal command. That is your pillar. That is the order that can change the course of your history, if you allow it. Imagine a mighty river rushing toward the sea. Its force is capable of cutting through mountains and turning giant turbines. Why is it so powerful? Because every single drop of water is moving in the same direction. Now, imagine that same river divided into 1,000 tiny streams scattered across the desert. The water is the same, but the power is gone. It evaporates before it ever touches the ocean. Most of you are that divided river. Your energies are scattered between 10 desires, 20 fears, and 50 distractions. What I offer here is the channel. Let us begin. Subscribe to the channel and strengthen your mindset every single day. Leave a like if today is the day you decide to step out of autopilot. Click the link in the first comment to access the 1-minute prayer and align your purpose for 2026. The choice is yours. In studying the rise of men who climbed from absolute poverty to the top of the world, I expected to find complex technical secrets. However, I found something hauntingly simple. These men were nothing alike in terms of education or temperament. But all of them, without exception, possessed a singular desire. Note that I did not say several desires. I said one. Most people use the word desire to describe a vague feeling. They say, I would like to be successful. I want security. That is not desire. That is a polite request made to life. And life ignores polite requests. Wealth only responds to firm decrees. The desire I witnessed in the winners was not an emotion. It was a verdict pronounced upon their own future. Think of Edwin C. Barnes. When he decided he would be a partner to Thomas Edison, he did not say, "I will try to get a job there." He said, "I will associate myself with this man." His mind was not open to other possibilities. He kept no escape routes. He had no plan B. Plan B is the refuge of cowards and the tomb of failures. To have 10 goals is the same as having none. For a divided force is a zero force. Why is it so difficult to choose just one objective? Because choosing one thing means murdering all other possibilities. The average man is terrified of this sacrifice. He prefers to keep 10 doors slightly open, rather than locking 9 and walking through the only one that remains with his entire soul. But know this: nature rewards the man who decides. It rejects the one who continues to negotiate. When your desire stops being a want and becomes a must, something extraordinary happens to your character. Your vision sharpens. Your thoughts align. You become a dangerous man to mediocrity. Before this awakening, you drift like a ship without a rudder. But the moment desire becomes defined, you stop asking if you will succeed, and begin asking only when. People around you will feel the change, even before they see the fruit of your labor. Your tone of voice will change. Your posture will change. Your energy no longer scatters. It strikes. Success does not require extraordinary brilliance. It only requires that you select a target worthy of your life, and surrender every lesser desire beneath it. If a man were granted only one advantage in the pursuit of wealth, it would be wise to choose rhythm. Not talent, not luck, and not even brilliant intelligence. Talent demands admiration. Brilliance requires applause. Luck begs for recognition. But rhythm asks only for obedience. A daily, silent, and constant obedience. Even when no one is watching. It does not negotiate with emotions. It does not bow to exhaustion. It does not depend on momentary inspiration. It simply advances. Most men fail because they do not remain faithful to a single direction long enough to grow deep roots. They work in bursts. Today, full of enthusiasm. Tomorrow, burnt out. Committed 1 week. Scattered the next. They act like impatient farmers, who sow with hope, water for a few days, and give up when the sun burns hot or the soil looks barren. The seed does not respond to haste. Success does not respond to haste. Both obey constancy alone. He who honors the rhythm reaps inevitably. For true progress is born from the repeated step, the humble discipline, and the daily decision to continue, even when there are no immediate signs of any visible reward. Rhythm is the cure for the wandering will. It teaches the hands to work without needing the whip of inspiration. Many seek the lightning bolt of a great idea. But the masters know that lightning only strikes the rod that was built over 1,000 quiet days. Wealth is not built in moments of grand, fleeting effort, but in the smallest acts, repeated with unshakable, cold fidelity. Consider Henry Ford. Before his name was carved into the granite of history, he practiced rhythm with a devotion that haunted those who saw him. He did not take great, desperate leaps toward success. Instead, he improved small parts. Day after day, he repeated calculations, refined tests, and faced failures often in the absolute silence of the early hours. There was nothing dramatic about his daily toil, but the rhythm hardened his will, until it became a physical force, until the world itself could no longer deny what he had built. Rhythm produces a deep, quiet enthusiasm, because it proves to the mind that progress is inevitable. When you practice rhythm, your subconscious begins to trust you. It feels stability where it once felt the poison of hesitation. And then, a miracle occurs. Your mind begins to deliver ideas and courage to you. Automatically, you no longer fight for progress. Progress flows through you. Talent burns bright for a single instant, but rhythm triumphs permanently. Let this be your law. Among all the winners I have examined over time, one lesson repeated itself with almost mathematical precision. The wealthy man treats time like gold, minted by his own mind. The failing man treats time like a weight to be endured, or a void to be filled. For one, every minute is a strategic asset. For the other, it is merely something that must pass until the day ends. I call this the ledger of value. Imagine you carry an invisible book where every hour of your day is recorded, without exception, as a deposit or a withdrawal. There is no neutrality. Time never stands still. It is always charging you, or always rewarding you. When you use your hours to think with clarity, to study, to refine a skill, or to plan with intention, you make a deposit, even if the return is not immediate. The value is accumulating. But when you surrender your hours to empty talk, constant indecision, or purposeless entertainment, you make a withdrawal. Little by little, the balance fades, almost without being noticed. The tragic truth is that most men lose their fortune before they even have the chance to earn it. They lose it in the silent waste of minutes. John D. Rockefeller understood deeply that minutes are the invisible bricks of empires. He organized his hours like a jeweler organizes precious stones, knowing exactly where each one belonged. He avoided the company of those who wasted time, for he knew that such men would eventually waste his. The common man was taught to save money, but he was rarely taught to save hours. He was warned against the loss of material goods, but not against the loss of the minutes that could create those goods. Look at your day with brutal honesty. How many hours dissolve into habits that build nothing for your future? Time spent without intention becomes a silent debt, accumulating until the day you wake up and realize the years have passed, and you have nothing solid to show for them. The winners did not have more hours than you. They simply refused to let a single hour pass without demanding something in return. Growth, progress, or power. No man, whether a titan of industry or a leader of nations, has ever achieved true triumph by walking alone. Behind every great fortune, behind every lasting empire, there is not just one brilliant mind or an extraordinary will, but a harmonious alliance of minds working in perfect unity. Success rarely grows in isolation. It flourishes in the right meeting of the right people. Fortune does not answer to the solitary man. It answers to intelligent cooperation. A single mind, no matter how genius, sees the world through a single window. Its thoughts are limited by personal experience, hidden fears, and blind spots invisible to itself. However, when two or more minds unite in harmony around a definite purpose, something new emerges. A third force is created. Invisible, powerful, and expansive. A kind of spiritual electricity that amplifies ideas, accelerates decisions, and transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. I call this force the mastermind. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle better than most. He was not the greatest expert in steel, nor the most brilliant engineer. His true gift was the ability to gather exceptional people, to recognize their talents, and to fuse them into a single strategic direction. Carnegie used to say that his fortune was not in his factories or his vaults, but in the men who walked beside him. He knew that machines could be bought, but aligned minds are built with vision, respect, and common purpose. The fatal error of the common man is believing that absolute independence is synonymous with strength. He mistakes pride for power, and solitude for self-sufficiency. He insists on carrying every burden alone, as if asking for help were a sign of weakness. But pride is an expensive luxury. It steals allies, blocks valuable counsel, and slows progress to a crawl. Many failures happen not for a lack of talent, but from an excess of isolation. A true alliance is not a group of friends gathered for convenience. It is a brotherhood of competence, formed deliberately and consciously. It is made of people who share values, vision, and discipline. even if they disagree on opinions. If you wish to rise, you must surround yourself with men and women who demand much of themselves, not those who live justifying their own failures. Environment shapes character, and character shapes destiny. A man inevitably becomes like the minds with which he associates. Ideas are contagious. Standards are absorbed. Expectations are inherited. A single conversation with the right ally can save you years of wrong attempts and unnecessary pain. Great leaps do not happen by individual effort alone, but by the strategic encounter of aligned minds. Where there is harmony, there is acceleration. Where there is alliance, the impossible begins to give way. Among all the discoveries I have made, none have haunted me as much as the power of invisible speech. Not the speech delivered on stages, or recorded in applause, but the words whispered in the solitude of one's own mind. The world sees a man's actions and judges them, but it never hears the silent dialogue that shaped those actions long before they became visible. The spoken word is the chisel that carves destiny. An internal dialogue is the architect who designs it. Nothing happens first in the outside world without having first been authorized in the world within. Most men speak as if their words simply vanish into thin air. They do not. Every word uttered is a command sent to the subconscious, which accepts it without question. It then begins to reorganize your perceptions, your choices, and your attitudes, to confirm what has been said repeatedly. A defeated man speaks of defeat. A confident man speaks of possibility. Life responds with exact precision. Poverty is rarely born from bad luck alone. It is the prolonged echo of a man's habitual words. To complain is to train the mind to look for failure. To say, "I cannot," is to send an order of retreat to your own intelligence. The winners I studied treated their words like sacred seeds. They did not call obstacles walls. They called them steps. If you use language without consciousness, it will wound you. If you use it with intention, it will elevate you. Begin today to guard your mouth and your thoughts. Declare your objective as a final verdict. The subconscious does not distinguish between current facts and persistent repetitions. Speak your future into existence. Circumstances can change overnight. You may inherit money, receive a promotion, or stumble upon an unexpected stroke of luck. But unless you have grown inwardly to sustain the responsibility of that new condition, you will sink back to the level of who you were before. Wealth may visit you, but it will not stay. Life has a way of returning a man to the altitude of his inner development. A man does not earn more simply because he works harder. He earns more because he becomes more. He becomes more disciplined, more decisive, more courageous. Wealth is drawn to the individual whose internal stature matches the height of his ambition. Money follows capacity, not desire. Many men want the fruits of success, without becoming the tree strong enough to bear them. They attempt to build a fortune with a character still chained to habits of scarcity, fear, and delay. But no one ascends to a higher plane of life while carrying the thoughts of a lower one. Elevation always demands transformation. Success requires the expansion of the self. You must shed your former identity, the way a serpent sheds its skin. If you refuse to outgrow old habits, you refuse to outgrow your present circumstances. If you do not yet possess the wealth you seek, it is because the version of you that exists today is not yet capable of carrying it. Stop trying to rearrange the world outside. Stop blaming conditions, systems, or timing. Begin instead to demand a higher version of yourself. When the man rises, his fortune has no choice but to follow. We have reached the end of our hour, but the beginning of your journey. The seventh pillar is the synthesis of everything you have heard. The law of the harvest and sacrifice. Nature does not tolerate a vacuum, and it does not accept a bribe. You cannot reap what you have not sown, and you cannot sow without first clearing the ground. Sacrifice does not mean suffering. It means exchange. To obtain what you have never had, you must be willing to give up who you have always been. You have heard of the singular desire, the rhythm, the value of time, the alliances, the speech, and the character. These are not friendly suggestions. They are the gears of a machine that has never failed for the one who operated it with fidelity. Subscribe to the channel to master your mindset every single day. Leave a like if you commit to stepping out of autopilot today. Click the link in the first comment below to access the 1-minute prayer and activate your purpose for 2026. From this moment on, you lose the right to say you do not know the way. Ignorance was your last excuse, and now it has been taken from you. What remains is your will. I summon you now, not to try, but to obey these patterns. The world steps aside to let the man pass who knows where he is going. The divided river must now become the focused river. Choose your objective. Establish your rhythm. Select your allies. And above all, grow until your physical presence is small compared to the greatness of your spirit. Wealth is waiting for you, not as a lottery prize, but as the just payment for a man who has finally decided to be the master of himself. Go and claim what is yours.